Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so excited to be with you guys on tonight. I'm really excited because, this is our time together. So, again, I'm just happy that you are joining me on tonight in the podcast, and I'm excited about the guests that we have. And you guys already know we're going to get ready and do some of these preliminary things. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and while you're there, go ahead and click on notifications so that you can be notified each and every time a new podcast is uploaded to the site, as well as click on like so you can so others can see this video just like you. So 3 things: click on subscribe, click on notification, and click on like. And then if you're not following me on Instagram and TikTok, if you don't mind following me on both platforms, the Dope Ass Dude podcast on both Instagram and TikTok. So if you don't mind following me on both of those platforms, and you know that you can watch the podcast each and every Monday, you can catch it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. So again, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. And for those of you that are on the go, you can always catch the podcast starting tonight on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. So you can always catch us on those platforms. I think that's everything. Okay. Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can watch it on all 4 of those platforms. And let's go ahead and get Jason's information out of the way. If you want to go ahead and follow Jason, I am telling you guys in advance, you're going to want to follow this guy. You can follow him on both Instagram and Threads. On both platforms, he is Royalty 44 on Instagram and Threads. And then on TikTok, he is Jason Royalty Sibley. And he has a YouTube channel. So you want to follow him on all of these platforms. And on YouTube, he is, let me see here. I just had him memorized. It is, let's go here, Jason Sibley 5814. So on YouTube, you can follow him at Jason Sibley 5814. So let's go back over that again. On Instagram and TikTok, he is Royalty 44. On Instagram and Threads, he's Royalty 44. TikTok, he is Jason Royalty Sibley. And on YouTube, he is Jason Sibley 5814. So I came across this guy on Threads, actually. So I'm out on Threads, and I came across his profile on Threads. He was posting some inspirational video. He had posted one on expectation, and when I saw this guy and I listened to the video that he put out there, I knew instantly that I had to have him on the podcast because this guy was shedding some truth. And I love having those that inspire me to be a better version of myself. So I went out, found him on Instagram. And when I found him on Instagram, I reached out to him and I said, "Hey man, would you come on the podcast?" And he agreed to come on the podcast. And then this guy's a phenomenal singer. He's a part of a recording artist group, a duo, him and his brother, Royalty, and they model. He does a little bit of everything. Inspiration. You go out on his TikTok page. This brother has millions and millions of views and hundreds of thousands of followers because he is always sharing deals, tips, and so much more. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on now so he can tell you about himself. Let's get him on out here. Jason.
Right. First and foremost, let me tell you something real quick. I need you to introduce me every time I do something. I need when I go do a show, I need you to sit there and bring me to the stage. The way you were talking, I would start looking around like, who else is he talking about? Man, you hype me up big, man. Much love to you, brother.
Brother, I'm just telling you this here. When I went out and I looked you up, because when I bring a guest on, I do my research and everything.
Absolutely.
And I was like blown away with everything that you're doing. And I'm not just saying this here because you're on the podcast. I think you're doing some extraordinary stuff outside of music. You're doing some good stuff. And I know more people need to know about you. So, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, so born and raised in Texas. See, the Dallas, I wasn't born in Dallas. I was born in Fort Worth, born and raised in Texas. Don't even see myself ever leaving this state. I'm a homegrown lover of the state. Like you mentioned before, identical twin brothers. So, we started singing probably around the age of 3. And then, my family, I come from a family of, got 2 older sister, baby sister, and then me and my brother in the middle. I'm a proud dad of a 23-year-old and a 17-year-old. So it's a lot of great things in my life. I'm trying to like lump it into one because I don't really talk about myself often. I'm always talking and promoting other people, so it's kind of hard to talk about me for a little bit. But I think kind of what you nailed on the head. I think we were taught to sit there and put our hands into everything, use those God-given talents and sit there and go after everything you can go after. So, whether it be, I remember growing up and we had to do, Friday nights meant you either went to Blockbuster and rented a movie or we did talent shows. So a lot of stuff that we do now as adults is what we actually did as kids, doing poetry in front of each other, acting out scenes, singing, dancing. It was a lot of stuff, my family really promoted us, digging into our creative side and really, putting it out there. So, I mean, that's pretty much me. Like I said, it's kind of hard to talk about myself because I'm always talking about everybody else. But yeah, in a lump sum, that's a summary. Elevator statement. That's my elevator statement about who I am.
Yeah, and I mean, I love how you said you guys dibbled and dabbled in everything, performing arts, poetry, singing, music, dancing, all of this the kind of stuff. So as you've gotten older and you have evolved into greater, how do you manage to not be boxed in? And I know me and you talked about this a little bit before we came out tonight, but the world will box us into one thing. It would say you start singing, you're supposed to be a singer for the rest of your life. You can't dabble in anything else. How do you manage, being free to express yourself?
And to be truthful, being that we came from pastors, children of pastors, I remember everybody wanted to box us in, even in the church world. They said, "Hey, you know what? Since you sing, you do." I was a minister of music for over 11 years, and they said, "Hey, since you sing, you got to sit there and only release gospel albums." And I remember my pops. He said, "You know what? First of all, Jesus is love. So you sit there singing R&B songs, you talk about love. That's who created love." And it kind of gave me that push to sit there and say, I don't have to be what everybody expects me to be, nor do I have to sit there. I believe in being a very unique individual. I believe that so many times everybody wants to be like everybody, dress like everyone, talk like everybody. And I believe that the things that stand out in life are the ones that are very unique. You have to sit there. I don't care what it is. If you don't sing like everybody else, that's your gift. If you don't walk like everybody else, that's your gift. You know what I mean? It's what you do, because I believe that our fingerprints, we all have different fingerprints, and it makes us individuals. And then our lives that we walk through in this life, we are going to have to do everything that we were created to do, not mimic what everybody else doing. They mastering that job. They mastering being them, master being you. And so that's what I do every single day. I don't compare myself to other people. I don't try to keep up with everybody. I try to sit there and be the best version of me every single day. So if I'm in a competition, I'm competing with myself yesterday. You know what I mean? And I sit there and hone in to sit there and say, what speaks to me? And if what speaks to me may seem odd and it may seem different to other people, so be it. It's me, and that's the reason why I entitled, an upcoming EP. It said just me. I'm just being myself 100%. I don't want to look like everybody else. I'm going to support them, but I'm going to be me.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because you grew up in the church. And just being you, just being me, that can be challenging at times, because sometimes it contradicts what we've been taught our entire lives. Absolutely. In church, it contradicts morals and it contradicts a lot of stuff. So what empowered you to just be you? Have you always been that way, or did you grow to be that?
I would say it's a little bit of both, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that we've, like I said, my parents always influenced us to be ourselves, to be our uniqueness, hone into being an individual. But at the same time, even when you are growing up, especially as a teenager, when because here's the thing about it: when you're in the church, you have the spotlight on you. And I'm telling you, everybody else could do anything, but if you're a PK, oh man, everybody see everything you do. So it's like, if you got a piercing, if you got a tattoo, it's not the end of the world for anybody else. But as a PK, Oh yeah, it's a lot to be said about that. But even I remember my mom, she told me, she said, I really don't want you to get a tattoo, but if you get a tattoo, the only thing I ask you to not do is don't put it on your neck and don't put it on your face. And I'm 40 years old. I got 28 tattoos now. She was like, as long as you didn't put it on your face and put it on your neck, I'm okay with it. Express yourself. And I think it was just because of my parents teaching us that, hey, it's okay to be an individual, that it's not going to change how you are. Because even when I'm, like I told you before, being a minister of music for 11 years, I didn't sit there and cover my tattoos. I didn't take out my earrings to sit there and do it, because I believe that, hey, this is who I am. This is how I express myself. That doesn't separate anything that I'm doing right now. This is just the way I like to express. And whether there's people who feel like they don't like tattoos, that's their perspective. But everybody has, different strokes for different folks. That's all I have to say. And I think that it was just the leading and the support from my parents that always gave me that push to just be myself.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said your parents encourage authenticity, to be an individual and to be yourself, because we live in a world now where everyone is following trends. Right. Everyone is like, you can't tell this person from this person because they all look the same. They're all doing the same. So to just step out and just be me is awesome. I really love that. So is that something that you've passed on to your children as well?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I really, it's so much I can say about that, because my baby's on my heart. But yes, when it comes to my kids, I always wanted to impart into them things early on. I didn't want them to have to learn certain things, teenage years, early 20s and things like that. I wanted them to understand that, hey, it may be times where you feel like you are by yourself, you're isolated because you're different, but that doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. Embrace that, because one day people are going to sit there. You look at it, there's people like, we'll just give an example since we've been talking about music. You look at people like Busta Rhymes. Is there anybody who sounds like him? Absolutely not. There's nobody who sounds like him, dresses like him, acts like him, raps like him. You know why he's a celebrity? And he does have a great flow, but one thing that makes him an individual that people are going to pick up on is him being different. See, there's a lot of people who sit there and mimic other people, and they'll just get pushed down the shuffleboard because no one's paying attention to things that look the same, because like you said, they're trendy. But when you're an individual, you are never going to go out of style. So that's why I tell my kids all the time, like, hey, I don't care if you want to wear that purple jacket with them red shoes. I don't like it, but if you like it, go with it. You know what I mean? That's you. You know what I mean? I support you 100%. But just whatever's going to be you, just do it. It doesn't matter. Like, we don't need. I think that so many times right now, the world is looking for a standing ovation, and you're never going to get a standing ovation. The world is looking for likes and views and things like that, and they think that that's going to measure who they are as a person. And I don't care if you sit there and post a video talking about your business, your podcast, your clothing brand, and you get one like, and that's probably from your mama, your grandmother, or cousin. You know what? Hey, that's all that matters. I don't care about getting all this other stuff. I didn't do it to get likes. I did it because I loved it. I had a gift to do it. I didn't do it to get all this other stuff, because I remember one time, one of my friends, she had posted a picture, and then she took it down. And I said, why'd you take that picture down? You just posted it. She said, because after 10 minutes, all I got was 2 likes. Mm-hmm. But so you chasing likes, you know what I mean? So that's, I know we could dive into that, and that could go down a whole rabbit hole when we talk about social media and things like that. But yes, when it comes to my kids, I tell them, like, don't do it for affirmation. You are your affirmation. Just keep doing you, and everything else going to follow suit.
And I'm glad you taught that to them, because that is such a powerful lesson. And most people our age still haven't grasped that. They still haven't learned that, you don't need affirming from anyone else. Affirm yourself. Every day you wake up, affirm yourself. And I get it. In life, sometimes it's hard. It's hard when you are always, you're taught, this is what you're supposed to have. This is what you're supposed to look. This is what you're supposed to do. So when you look at yourself and you measure yourself to that, you compare yourself to what they're telling you, you come up short. And that's what I always tell people. Anytime you compare yourself to someone else or something else, you're always going to come up short, because you are comparing your reality to your perception of them or it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I
I
love
always live by the statement, they always say keeping up with the Joneses or the grass looks green on the other side. And I never believe that. I believe the statement that if people sometimes say the grass is green on the other side, it's only because the person on the other side took care of their grass. See, if you water your grass is going to be just as green. But you sit there worried about their grass, you're not paying attention to your own grass. So that's my thing. I'd say to fine tune on what I'm doing. If I sit there and just keep doing me, that I'm going to be prosperous. I'm going to be successful. I don't have to keep keeping up with the Joneses because you don't know what the Joneses had to go through to get what they got. So there's some people.
absolutely.
So there's some people. So they're like, man, I ain't been on a vacation all year, but you don't understand that the person who's posting all these vacation pictures is in debt right now. They don't even know how to sit there and pay their light bill, but you sit there saying, oh, I got to be like them. Do you really want to be like them? Because you may not know their true story, nor you may not know, and I'm not trying to get religious, but you may not know the story that they had to go through, the storms they had to come out of before they got what they got. So to stop looking at what other people have, just keep running your race.
Yeah. Keep running your race. I
Yeah,
love
man.
that. Keep running your race. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
royal bloodline. Let's talk
Oh,
about you
man.
and your brother
Yeah,
forming
man.
this group. So tell us, like, how did that come about? Because the group is called Royalty. So
Yeah.
how did you kings come together and form this group?
Okay, so actually, it's going to be a two-part answer. So first and foremost, like I said before, we're singing. My mom's a singer, and so she was singing in church, and I think by the age of 3, she said by the time we were able to talk, she taught us how to sing. And so some of our first singing times were. I remember one of the first times I ever sang in a church. I was singing at a funeral. And I'm gonna tell you, I've never had stage fright ever since that moment. Because if you could sing next to a dead body, you could sing in front of people who are alive. So it changed everything. So we sang, as kids, and so we would go around to different churches in Fort Worth, and just sing it. They used to call us the O'Neill Twins, even though that's not our last name, but they were like the O'Neill Twins. And so we would sing, and then as we got older, we were known as singing. Though we played sports and did different things, we were always known as the twins who sing. And so anytime we've been in school, they sit there and we go to the cafeteria, hey, sing this one song, sing that new, what, I don't even know, Boyz II Men song. And so we would always be singing. But one day we were probably in the high school, we were in choir and everything. And we came across a producer, who's actually helped out with most of our projects, Flavion Tobias. He was the one who first put us behind a microphone, and we kind of did it in a playful way. I had been writing probably for maybe 3 or 4 years before that actually took place. And so he was like, well, if you're writing, why don't we sit there and put it to some music? So I was like, okay. So we got in the studio, recorded our first album. I don't even know whatever happened to that album, because that was, I was 16 years old. I don't even know what happened. I wish I still had that. But we went into the studio, but then we stopped doing music. We did not touch music from 16 all the way until roughly 34, 35 years old. Though we sang every Sunday in my father's church, praise and worship, we did not do anything with our music. And then another producer came to our church and heard us sing. He was filling in as a keyboard player, and he heard us sing, and he said, hey, man, he was like, y'all are like the gospel Jagged Edge. And I was like, okay, that's the first time I ever heard that. So he was like, I want to do music with you. So I kind of blew it off. I was like, I don't really care to do music. It is what it is. Next thing I know, he sends me a message on Facebook, and he has a track. He was like, just check it out, see what you like about it. And I was about to take a shower, and next thing I know, I'm playing the song back, and I wrote the entire song while I was taking a shower. I got out of the shower, sent him a voice memo of the song, and it's actually one of the first songs on our first album, Paper and Pen. It's called 3 Minutes. And I wrote that song in the shower. He heard that song. He was like, okay, forget this. I'm not just doing a song with you. I want to do a whole album with you. And so at first, my brother wasn't with it. He was done with the, music life and everything. And I think I wrote another song called Wait for Me. And he heard that song. He heard both songs. He heard 3 Minutes and Wait for Me. And then my brother was like, nah, you're not leaving me out of this. He said, we're starting a group. So we started this group. We named it, it was some name, I want to say Only One or something like that, but it was like in like Hebrew or something like that. It was weird. The producer had that idea. And then finally, somebody said, I don't understand why y'all sit there calling yourselves Only One when there's two. But then secondly, why aren't y'all just going by Royalty? Now, Royalty was a name that my father gave us. When I was a teenager, we both had very low self-esteem. So being teenagers, trying to grow into your features, really, like you said, compare yourselves to other people, had severe low self-esteem. And I remember my dad coming to us and he said, you come from a royal priesthood. And I stopped right then and there. And I said, royalty. And that's the name of our group. That's the name of my brother's barbershop. Anything that's associated with us. That's the reason why you see the screen names, things like that. I always attach royalty to it because royalty on my shirt. I always put royalty towards everything. And a lot of people, when they heard the name royalty, they almost think it's something in arrogance, and it's not nothing in arrogance. What you have to understand. And I always like to explain this. If I'm out speaking to men's groups or speaking to some youths, it's not saying I'm royalty and you're not royalty. It's saying that we are royalty. When you understand who you are, then you act a little different way. You know what I mean? When you accept and finally sit there and say, it's almost like, I keep bringing up this shows you how much I was in church, but it's almost like the prodigal son. When the Bible said that in the prodigal son, it said that when he was eating with the swine, he came to himself. And that's what I feel like happened. When you get that awakening, when you finally come to yourself and really understand who you really are. You've been going through life so long and measuring yourself to other people and thinking you weren't good enough and you weren't skilled enough, you weren't successful enough, and all of a sudden aha moment, and you suddenly realize, wait, hold on, how long have I been thinking like this? How long have I been living like this? I'm royalty. And that changed the entire perspective of my entire life. Everything in my life took a complete turn in high school, to the point where there were times in high school some people were like, oh, they arrogant. You know what I mean? But it wasn't arrogance. It was just understanding that when you're royalty, you don't carry yourself any kind of way. You don't involve yourself in every single thing. You don't move with every single body. You know what I mean? You want to sit there and carry yourself like royalty. So it's a thing that I always promote, to sit there and say, it's not just the group. It's not just us. Everybody's royalty. It's understanding that we all come from a royal priesthood. And when you understand that, your mindset changes, and your mindset changes, everything in your life changes.
Yeah, and I think that's what most people miss is, and I love how you guys adopted that name, royalty, like that your dad gave you, because it gives you something to live up to. It gives you something to aim for. And it's prophetic, and that's again affirmations and so forth. That's why I'm really big on people saying affirmations, because when you're speaking these things, you're speaking things that are not.
Absolutely.
And you're speaking it and knowing that you're going to become it. So I love that, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the thing about affirmations is when people speak, you have to almost say it in a way that it's a matter of fact. You know what I mean? Because I know we say things and we repeat them over and over, and sometimes in your subconscious mind it tells you, wait, hold on, you saying you're royalty, but you ain't got this. You saying you said you blessed, but you ain't got that. But here's the thing about it. Your subconscious mind, in order to sit there and defeat it, you have to sit there and speak to that thing in a matter-of-fact way. See, I don't sit there and just say I'm royalty and just completely just say, oh, I'm royalty, but I'm still lowly in my spirit, in my heart, in my mind, my thoughts, and I carry myself lowly. When I say I'm royalty, I say it with a matter of fact. I say it with confidence. I say it with almost in a way that I'm challenging the atmosphere. You know what I mean? I'm challenging everything around me, that I'm saying I am this, and I'm not accepting anything less. That's that. And again, I'm promised this is the last time I'm bring something church up, but I'm gonna tell you when in Genesis it said, hey, God saw nothing, and He said, let there be. He didn't say hope it would be. I'm wishing it would be. I'm gonna beg it to be. He spoke it to be. And that's the way we have to do in our lives. When we start saying these affirmations that you're a royalty, that you're blessed, that you are successful, that your children are in college and they're safe, and all these affirmations, say it with a matter of fact. There's no doubt, there's no questioning thing. You know it with a surety, and I guarantee when you say it with that kind of confidence, you challenge everything in this world to something and say, you better do what he just said. You know what I mean? Because I become what I just said. Our lives follow our words. Our tongues are ready writers. So we have the power to go out here and tell what this world is going to be. We can change. A lot of people talk about our community and everything. We can change our community. Stop talking bad about the community and talk positive about the community. Go out here and change the way if we change the way we think, then we'll change the way we speak. We change the way we speak, we change the way what we see. So we have to start doing everything here, and then we're going to see it out there. It cannot happen in reverse, because a lot of people think that, hey, once I see it in the outward, then that's when I'm going to start thinking that way. That's where I'm going to start talking about that. It goes to the same line when a woman does not become a wife the moment that she walks down the aisle. She becomes a wife the moment that she accepted, I'm something good. I'm something that somebody wants. I carry myself in a way that's not like a baby mama. I carry myself not like a girlfriend. I carry myself like a wife. So I became a wife before I even walked down the aisle. All this is a ceremonial thing that people are witnessing, but I became a wife long before. I embraced it before I even happened. So that's the reason why we have to go through life, and we have to embrace those things before it even happens.
And that's why people have to choose their words wisely.
Absolutely.
Everything you say, you have to recognize there is power within those words you are.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I love that. And then, so since we're there, we're just going to skip and go a little bit further, because I saw a video you was talking about expectations and setting expectations. And we tapped on that just a little bit in what you were just recently saying, how your words hold power. So what is your experience with setting expectations for yourself?
I believe that, in life that we put ourselves, and I think we briefly even hit on something about boxes. We put ourselves in our own boxes. There is no such thing as a limitation unless you put a limitation on yourself. I always think about the story about they put a elephant and they tied a chair next to him, and the elephant kept seeing this chain connected to a chair, and he would not move, because in his mind, I'm chained to this chair, cannot move. Even though I'm stronger and I can overpower this chain, I'm not going to move anywhere. That's the same thing we do in our lives. We sit there and see different things, circumstances, and we sit there and say, I can't do this. I'm not skilled enough. I'm not educated enough. I don't have the finances. I don't have the spouse. I don't have this. We limitate. We put ourselves in these boxes. And my thing is, I always want to believe that so a man thinketh, so is he. And I'm sorry that if you're going to sit there and want the greatest things in life, you're going to have to sit there and change your expectations, because your expectations are the things that you're wanting to happen. It's almost like when you're driving down the street, and, new drivers, they'll understand this. When you're driving down the street, if you pay attention too far to this window or pay attention to this window, guess what happens? You start going that direction. Your eyes start tracking to where you're looking. The vehicle begins to follow it. So if you keep your eyes straight, I just was teaching my youngest how to drive, and I was like, just keep your eyes forward. You're not going to the left and the right. You're going straight. Now you can go and glance all you want to, but your eyes need to stay forward. It's the same thing with our expectations. I understand circumstances are going to come over here. I understand things are going to happen over here, but your eyes stay straight. It's not to say you don't acknowledge what it just happened. That's crazy. Like, I wish we could get to the place where we won't even acknowledge conflict or a problem, but you glance and then you put your eyes forward. Your expectations are going to follow your words. Your tongue is already wired. Stop giving so much power to the issue. Stop giving too much power to the things that are not lining up in your life, and give more power to the things that are. Start talking about it and something and say, hey, by the end of this week, I'm about to see a financial blessing that nobody in my family has ever experienced before. And I'm going to keep saying that, even though Wednesday, it may have not come. Thursday, it still ain't came. Friday, I'm still there getting a little nervous, but I don't let off my expectations, because everything, I remember I went out to, I probably was maybe like 24, 25. And I said, you know what? I want a new car. The car that I had, I'm talking about like the little cover on the bottom was scraping the ground. I was embarrassed to pick up my daughter, and this thing was just horrible. And I said, you know what? I want a new car. I did not have the finances in my account to do it. Actually, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't even have the credit to do it that day. But I said, I want this. And tomorrow I'm about to go get a new car. I drove out to a dealership out there in Duncanville, and I, went, I said, hey, I'm looking at some cars. They pulled out a few, because they thinking about this time, they ain't pulled my numbers up. They ain't talking about no down payment. They just bringing out the shiny cars and stuff there, say, yeah, go test drive it. I drove the car that I wanted, came back. We sat on at the desk. We put some deals together. I didn't pay anything down. They didn't worry about what my credit score was. My payments were exactly where I wanted them to be. I left my beat up car in their parking lot, and I drove off this brand new car. What am I saying with that is sometimes you are going to have to, Peter couldn't walk on water until he got off the boat. Sometimes you're going to have to sit there and say, my expectations are greater than the limitations I'm seeing. Sometimes you have to sit there and say, I'm not going to be crippled and paralyzed by what I'm seeing in front of me, but I'm about to change what I'm seeing. And so I believe that the sky is the limit. We hear that all the time. The sky is the limit. There's no limits, but we put them on ourselves. So I believe that if we get to a place of really speaking those things and expecting it to happen, not hoping it to happen, expecting it to happen, you're going to start seeing more stuff happen. But here's, before I wrap that up, what happens is we start thinking, but what if it don't? What if this happens? What if this happened? What if I start this new business and I fall on my face? What if I quit my job and I start pursuing this and this happens? The things that you fear and the things that you pay attention to are the things that you bring to you. So we stop putting our expectations on the great things that we want, and we start paying attention to the things we don't want. And you don't understand that the things that you set their feed into, you are what you eat. So if you keep eating negativity, all you're doing is bringing negative to you. So you're wondering, like, see, I told you it couldn't happen. No, it's because you didn't expect it. You expected the wrong thing to happen, and you kept your mind on there, and you set there lost focus on with the positive things.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, I mean, another thing too, and this is why we have to be very careful with who we allow to be in our circles, because our circles will limit us as well. They'll speak, we'll share our dreams and our passions. Yeah. And because they're fearful, because they haven't done this or stepped outside the box, they will speak that doubt into us too. And before we know it, we are questioning everything about what we know we are supposed to do, what we know the next step is. Circles, ourselves, that whole enemy, not the external enemy, but the internal enemy that is speaking all of this doubt to us. And you have to set those expectations. And then another thing, also realize what our dreams are just a fragment of what God have for us. We can't even fathom or picture what he has for us. So
eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. So even in your wildest dreams, you can't even imagine it. So we think too small. We think way too small. We sit there worrying, stressing, and crying over a light bill. And it's like, man, I would have gave you more than that. You talking about a $200 light bill? I would have gave you way more than that.
I would have gave you more than that.
I would have gave you a corporation, and you sit there talking about a light bill. You worrying me about a light bill. And I'm gonna tell you something. This is actually something I was going to share on my Thriving Thursdays I do on IG. But it's amazing that we miss something very valuable in the Bible. The Bible says the promises of God are yea and amen. What does that mean? That means yes. Amen means that it's finished and it's an agreement. So a lot of times when we see that, we just reread it and go on with life. But here's the revelation I got from that. If the promises of God are yes already, that means you don't have to ask for it. That means you don't have to sit there and beg him for it. You don't have to snot all on the ground to sit there and get it. He's already said yes. And he said amen. So it said it's finished and I come in agreement. So instead of when we're going to pray, instead of begging and saying, please, 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 please do this for me, start praying and sit there and say, I agree. I come in agreement with what you've already said. It's mine. I come in agreement with the inheritance that you say belongs to me. Stop begging because I've already said yes. Because if we believe that our prayers were answered, we stop praying about it. We would say, because I asked a friend not too long ago, I said, what would you pray about if you woke up tomorrow morning and everything that you wanted was right before you? And they thought and they said, I would probably start praying, like, what is my assignment? What is my purpose? What is the will of God in my life? But I said, you notice you didn't ask about the water bill, the light bill, nothing. You didn't ask about any of those things. You know why? Because those things were already taken care of. You have to go into prayer just with that same tenacity. You have to go in understanding everything is taken care of. Now let me pray about something different. And the blueprint is when you look at the Lord's Prayer. When people sometimes say our daily bread, they think that it's talking about food. No, it's not the food that he was talking about, our daily bread. Now, one time was he talking about a need in the Lord's Prayer. It was talking about the will of God. So when we go and start praying and stop praying about stuff and start praying about the will of God and his purpose and say, hey, who do I need to connect with? Who do I need to bless? Who can I influence or encourage? What could my next week's message on Thriving Thursday be about? When I stop changing my mind to sit there and say, hey, Christmas is coming up and I need to sit there and talk about XYZ, and sit there and start talking about the real stuff, then he'll understand that, oh, you already accepted it. It's already done. You had needs, but you already knew that it was done because you already said it was yay and amen. So you came in agreement with it that it was already done. So you start praying about something else. So now all of a sudden, take no thought for tomorrow because tomorrow will take care of itself. Everything is added to you because you already have it. It's already going to be done for you. Stop. What we do is we'll pray about a situation on Monday. By Wednesday, we prayed about it again. Thursday, Friday, and here comes Sunday, and we say, well, it never happened. Well, here's the issue. You kept coming to God about the same prayer that you got up and said, I believed it happened. If you truly believed it happened, you wouldn't be praying about it anymore. You'd be actually giving thanks, right? You'd be saying, oh, thank you for doing it. I move on with life because I know you have it handled. But we keep up there saying we bring the same things over and over to him and saying, when is it going to happen? And it's saying, once you leave it at my feet and walk away from it. The moment that you cast all your cares, that's when it's going to happen. But we keep picking it up, bringing it back and saying, did you see this? You said you believed me. You said you trusted that it was going to happen. Why you keep picking it up?
Yeah. And those are the bad expectations there. And when I say the bad expectations, it's because we are expecting God to move how we think he is supposed to move. When he's working stuff out and you're trusting the process. Trusting the process means, God, I completely relieve my hands of this. I'm giving it to you, and I'm just going to trust whatever you do and whatever outcome it has. And you just go along with the plan or blindly go along with the plan. And don't expect God to send this person to you. This is where your blessing is going to come from. No, it may be this other person over here that you just taken for granted. That's why I always tell people, you never know who people are in your future. Treat everybody with care, every situation with compassion and care, because you do not know if that is God's plan to bless you to get to the next level. So we can go on that all night long, man.
I'm telling you. Because have you even had a situation where you thought you wanted something, you were actually glad God didn't answer that prayer?
Yes, there are so many things.
Maybe months, years later, you like, thank you for not answering that one. You know what I mean?
Thank you, God, for dodging bullets.
so like you say, trust the process. Sometimes I know more than you know, so trust me in this. But yeah, you're right. We could go into that all day, every day. I ain't going to sit there and hijack your podcast.
No. This is good stuff. So we have some comments out here. So let's go back through some of this stuff. So Centauria, see Shaw, this is a good friend of mine. I went to college with her. Centauria, good. Right. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Centauria said doubt creeps in. We was talking about, that's when we were talking about, you know what we was talking about. And then she said, speak, Marquita. Hold up, I just saw that on here. Okay, Marquita said, that's good. Yep, I love that. Teaser came back, did some good stuff. Yep. And Saul said, amen, so true. And then Saul came back and he said, we put God in, let's see here.
Put God in the box of how we think the prayer should be answered.
We try to
limit him a few choices. You're right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
I love that. So okay, so you're a church boy. You know, you already said that. So you're supposed to write about love for Jesus and everything. And of course, you writing about love, the world love, you know? How do you come up with these love songs? Like, are they birthed through experiences, bad relationships, good relationships? How do you come up with it? And how much of it is really you? Some of this stuff we hear on the radio nowadays, these fools just write stuff. Ain't got nothing to do with them. They just write.
No. Let me tell you now. That's the beauty in getting the opportunity. I've had a few people sit there and say, "Hey, I'll write for you," and I say, "I want to write for myself." You know what I mean? Because I don't want to talk about something I don't know about. You know what I mean? I can't talk about being on the yacht. I've never been on the yacht, so I can talk about my own experiences. So, yes, it's from past relationships, past heartbreaks, love found, love lost. It's a combination of it all. I think that most of the things not even most of the things, everything that I write is either I've sat there and the way I write is completely different. I'm pretty sure there's some songwriters who can just write just words together. I call that poetry, but for me, I like to sit there and hear music, light some candles, turn off everything, and I sit there and I let the music speak to me. And what I'm waiting for is an experience of what that music is talking to me about. Like every sound, and that's the beauty with music, that every song tells a story, and even before you hear the words, there's a story that's already there. And so sometimes I'll hear a track and I'm like this, oh, I already know where I'm about to go. I'm about to sit there and talk about this situation that happened to me. When you found that one true love and you fell deep and couldn't stop thinking about them, or maybe you had that true love because there's another side of love, and that's what we're going to get. And listen to my music, you're going to see both sides of love. You're going to see the love, on cloud nine, and you're going to see those moments where you lost it all and you had to sit there and pick yourself back up, because that's the true vision of what love is. Love sometimes hurts. Love is one of the most beautiful things in the world, but we've all, when you live this earth, you experience some love that is very painful. So I like to tell the story of what I go through. I try not to, because one of the things that everybody always asks me when I hear one of my songs or listen to the album, they be like, who was this about? And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not about to sit there and name no names. I'm not about to sit there and do that. I do write from experience, and if they listen, they'll know who I'm talking about. But I'm not gonna call nobody out.
What this line in this song means. You said my tires on flat.
She grew up in a little town in Oklahoma. I ain't gotta say no names. You knew who you were born in Oklahoma. You know who it is. So yeah,
you know who it is. Okay. So how long does it normally take you to write a song?
Ooh, that's a very good question, man. To be honest with you, I would say on average, maybe an hour to 2 hours. There's songs I've written less than that. There's songs I've written less than 20 minutes. Sometimes, most of us, you being a songwriter, sometimes the juices are flowing and you just, everything just coming at you all at once, and you could just easily do it. But then there's sometimes that you want to take your time with it. And kind of what I was saying earlier is that I don't like to just put words to a beat. I want to tell a story. I want it to connect to the emotions. I want to do wordplay. I want to sit there and say this, and it was like, oh, that lyric, you know what I mean? I don't want to sit there and just match and just say, hey, I'm done. Now sometimes it does get to a place where you're on a timeline, you got a deadline. The producer's saying you got to have this these songs written by X day, and we got to record it by this day. And that time, it may take a little longer, because I feel like anytime I'm rushed, I don't perform the best when it comes to songwriting. I feel like every single time I don't do too well. I need my time. And so that's the reason why I write so much, is because I'm like this. Hey, if I'm ever in need of something, I'll pull out my phone, and it's a song I wrote 3 years ago that we never used. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. You know what I mean? So, but I hate rushing it. But I would say on average, 1 to 2 hours at most. But I've come across a few times where it took me about a couple of weeks to sit there and write some songs, because you maybe finish the first verse, the chorus, and then you want that second verse to really come in strong.
Yeah.
And you don't want, you're just like, man, I don't want to just put out anything, and I'll get an idea and be like, that's not good enough. And so I'm my own worst critic, and I will stop myself, and people are like, no, that's good. No, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I will take the notepad, because I'm old school. I still use the notepad to write my music. I know people just maybe type it out and, use their phone. I still write on the notepad. And so I'll take that paper, throw that away, or put it away to use later. But until I feel like, it's almost like this weird thing. I get like the hairs on the back of my neck stands up when I hear a line or I write a line. I'm like, that's it. It happens to me every single time. Once if I write a chorus, and I'm like, that's it right there. If I don't feel the hairs rise up, then I'm like, no, that wasn't it. That was, you were basically just doing this just to be doing it, and you're not really saying nothing. You just putting words to a beat and saying, hey, this is quality. No, I can't do that. If I'm putting my name on it, I want to put out quality. And if that means I'm putting out 5 songs on the album, then so be it. Then that means 5 songs on that album. I know I put my heart and soul into it. And that's the reason why these albums and this music are my babies, is because I don't just put out anything. I put my heart and soul to it. I speak my truth, and I give my true feelings about matters. So,
yeah. So what is your favorite song that you've written?
Man, did you Google the most best questions to ask somebody? Because that is a great question, man. That is wow.
Way too much
Golly.
following it. Wait to the next question.
Man, that is a good question. Um, man, I would have to say a song. It was a song called "For Whatever It's Worth." And the reason why I say that's one of my favorites is because I was literally sitting there in my apartment one night and I was just playing with the guitar and I, wrote the first word, the first line, I'm sorry, and I just kept singing the same song. And I'm like, this, have I heard this song somewhere? And I was
Don't you
like,
hate that?
yeah, I'm like, did somebody? So I'm Googling, I'm looking on YouTube trying to say, where did I hear this song? It wasn't a song that I heard before. It was a song in me. And I began to sing this song, and I wrote the entire song, playing on the guitar. That was when I was dibbling with the guitar for a little bit, and sent it over to my producer, Andre, and he was like, "You have to record this weekend." And he even kept it's weird. He even kept the sound bite of when I sent him the voice memo of me strumming on the guitar. He kept that. I was like, "Take that out. That was just so I could show you." He was like, "No." He was like, "I want to keep it authentic," and he kept that part in there, and he just play some keys over it, and that's got to be one of my favorites because basically it's basically saying we grew apart for whatever reason, but I never stopped loving you. And it made me think of different people in my life who I not every single time doesn't mean that sometimes you are in a relationship or out of a relationship and it probably wasn't all bad. Not all breakups are bad. I mean, sometimes it's just it was a bad timing. And so, but your heart is still there. You wish them the best and everything, but it wasn't for ill reasons. We don't all have that toxic situation. There's some situations that are actually just really good. Maybe you were immature, maybe you were not in the right place, right state of mind, and it just fizzled out. And that's what that song was about. Just something fizzling out, but you still years later still love them and hope they're well. So.
And what was the title of this song?
For Whatever It's Worth.
Okay, so Jason, sing us a verse For Whatever It's Worth.
Okay, let's see. Seeing that we're doing it without my music. Let's see. We grew apart for whatever reason. Neither was at fault. Just the ending of our season. There's no do-overs in this life, so we just have to do things right for whatever that is worth. I never stop loving you. I never stop loving you. So yeah, it's hard to hear it without my music, man. and you put me right on the spot. I'm like, man, I ain't sang that song in years, man. Like that
was fire, brother.
Early albums, man.
I love it. So okay, so we have some questions here, and I'm gonna go back to this one question because I definitely don't want to miss this one here as the chat is going on here. So let's see here. It was from Centauria. She says, can you give steps on how to address the doubting thoughts? We definitely want to get that one before we move on.
Yeah. The thing is, I believe in, kind of what I said earlier, where, when you have those thoughts, we don't want to sit there and pretend like they're not there. You know what I mean? I think that so many people, you can look on YouTube, so many people just like, erase those thoughts. Those are real thoughts. Your subconscious mind is telling you, just for example, if it is financial, how do you sit there and ignore the fact that you are in need of something today? You need it today. So you need something. Those negative thoughts are going to come and you're going to start doubting along the way. So my thing is don't ignore it. Identify that, yeah, I have these negative thoughts, but always it's something I learned when I used to do telemarketing. When I did telemarketing as a teenager, one of the first things they would say is have a rebuttal. So I don't care if I was selling on the phone and I'm still there trying to sell you long distance coverage. I'm still there. You saying, no, I don't really want this. I had my rebuttal ready. And so that's what you have to have even when you're having those negative thoughts, get your rebuttals ready. If you sit there and say, man, I am blessed and highly favored, and that negative thought or that doubting thought comes up, have a thought ready for it. Sometimes I don't even care if you have to speak it out of your own mouth. Sometimes it's better for you. Don't even talk to yourself. Say it out loud. Every single time that a negative thought comes, because we cannot control negative thoughts from entering in, we control how much we feed into those negative thoughts. I don't care what happens. We're going to think of certain things, but it's always how do we feed that seed? Doubt is nothing more than a seed, and it only grows the more we feed it. So if I have a negative thought, the first thing I do is, what is my rebuttal here? I am blessed. I'm the head and the tail. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I am a lender and not a borrower. The cattle of 1,000 hills belong to my Father. You know what I mean? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. You know, these are my rebuttals. And the reason why I have them on quickly right now to say in front of you is because this is my rebuttals I say on a regular basis. Every single time there's a doubting thought that comes, I start saying these things. I sit there and say, you are more than enough. You are qualified. You are skilled. You are talented. You are blessed in the city. You are blessed in the field. You are blessed going in and going out. These are things I say. You are a money magnet. Everywhere you turn, money comes to you. From the north, south, east, and west, it's coming to you. Money is your portion. You were created out of wealth. You are wealthy. You know what I mean? So when you have these rebuttals, that's how you control those things. It's not to sit there and say you will never think doubtful. It's to say, hey, how do I feed into this? Am I going to feed into the doubt, or am I feed into the things? So have that rebuttal. Write out, even if you want to sit there and take a notepad and sit there and write out your own rebuttals. Have those rebuttals ready. Because I'm telling you, the moment that you speak something positive, the moment that you expect something, negativity is going to come right up there. Just be ready for it.
Yeah. And you also have to extend grace to yourself. When you are stepping out and you're doing something different, you're in unfamiliar territory. So there's going to be fear, there's going to be doubt there, and you extend grace to yourself and don't give up or beat yourself up because, I'm supposed to just step out on faith and I'm supposed to know you're stepping in unfamiliar territory. You're trusting the process, you're trusting God, and you don't see what's going to happen. Know what's going to happen. So extend grace that you are human. You're going to feel fearful. You're going to have these thoughts, but you have to extend grace to yourself on that journey. Yeah, I love that. So then, since she came back with another question, what advice do you give? What advice do you wish someone had given you when you started?
Oh, man. Man, y'all are coming with some questions today. I tell you, I've done many interviews. Nobody asked me these questions. This is good. The advice that I would have taken or wish somebody would have given me from early on is to sit there and just be authentic. I think that when I was first coming out, I think I told you before how, somebody compared us to Jagged Edge, the gospel Jagged Edge. No, just don't try to be Jagged Edge. Jagged Edge, it's Jagged Edge. Be you. I wish somebody would have just said, hey, just whatever, you have an open canvas, create whatever you want to create. And I think that early on, probably starting out, I wanted to sit there and be like, well, what's playing on the radio? And whatever's on the radio is playing on the radio already. Sit there and be something different. So I wish somebody would have just said, hey, you know what? Your style is good enough. You're good. Like, don't try to mimic, I remember even sometimes I would even sing songs and I would try to almost sound like Anthony Hamilton, or I tried to sound like Brian McKnight on the song. And it's like, why are you trying to sound like somebody else? Just sound like you. Just like they've already mastered that. You know what I mean? And so I wish somebody would have kind of shook me back in those early days and just like this. Hey, you're mimicking somebody. You know what I mean? You sound like somebody. Don't sound like nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And be you. I love what you said. Be you. Be you, because you is enough. You is enough. Be
Absolutely.
you. Yeah, be you. So one last thing that I definitely want to talk about. I know we got like 6 minutes or something like this here. So one thing I wanted to talk about, because you guys got this other song out here, and this is for the singles. And I listened to the lyrics of this song, and I don't know if this came from the loss of someone, passing on, or if it was a breakup, but it didn't feel like Christmas.
Oh, man.
So this is for the people that are out here. So I want to talk a little bit about this here, because right now we're in the season of Christmas. some people don't have booze and they are a little bit down and out because they're going to be alone on Christmas, or they just got broken up with during the Christmas holiday. Like, what advice? I know you have this song. If you guys, this is probably not the song that you guys go listen to get cheered up, because he's kind of whining on this song. He's holding on tight to his pillow at nighttime. So this probably ain't the song.
There's no mistletoe on this one.
So what advice do you have for people who are singles that are out there, or maybe even a widow, someone who just recently lost their spouse? You know, through death. What advice do you have?
I would honestly say, you know, hone into those relatives, those children, grandkids, friends. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, hopefully most of us have support systems out there that, you know, sometimes in these harder times when we don't really want to be by ourselves, you know, it's a holiday season, and the first things we could do is isolate ourselves and say, I don't want to go anywhere. But sometimes those invites, when they say, nah, come out here, come have Christmas with us, come do this. Go do it. You know what I mean? Being by yourself is not going to sit there and bring anything. You know, being by yourself is good, but at the same token, you don't want to sit there and spend the holidays by yourself. But if you did lose, you know, especially if it's love loss, breakup and everything like that, I'm gonna tell you the best thing you can do is be around family and friends and sit there, and you know, because you don't want to stay in that place. You don't want to stay in that mental place, because this song, it's so funny because it was a breakup. It was a breakup, and you know, and it happened right before Christmas, you know what I mean? And of all times, you get broken up with before Christmas, and so you had gifts, and I don't even know what to do with these gifts. And so it was, you know, talking about, it's just another silent night as I hold my pillow tight, you know what I mean? Just playing with the lyrics. But I'm gonna tell you, it was one of those songs that really spoke to me, because I was like, man, this is somebody, you know, what is the old song they said, what did the lonely do at Christmas? It was one of those kind of songs, you know what I mean? It was, what do we do, you know what I mean? The best thing you could do, and my advice is, what I did is I got around family and friends, and I was like, hey, I got to take my mind off of this, you know what I mean? So,
listen to this song and do everything the opposite of what he did in this song. If you want to know what to do, we're going to tell you what not to do, and that's what he did, because he's whining in this song.
Because he sounds like he been drinking on that one, man. He having a long Christmas Eve. Is horrible. Like,
when I heard it, I was like, did somebody die? Like, did his girlfriend or his wife pass or something like that?
You want to know something crazy? Somebody actually, this was, and it wasn't even around Christmas. This was maybe 2 months, 3 months ago. Somebody reached out to me on TikTok. They said, hey, I'm going to use your song to do a tribute for my aunt. And I was like, which one? And she was like, Don't Feel Like Christmas. I was like, it's like August. Like, it's not even Christmas time. And she was like, yeah, but my aunt passed. I was like, oh, okay, so we're using it now for death. So I'm like, okay, I guess. So I went back and listened to my own music to someone say, does it apply? Technically it does in a weird way, but I'm like, So she posted it. She was like, and then she tagged me, and then she was like, I appreciate Jason for letting me use this music. I was like, I never would imagine when I wrote that song somebody would be doing that for a tribute. But
when you was on the song whining, man.
I did. I'm gonna probably listen to that song after we get off here. Yeah. I love that song.
Jason, what's next for you, man? So what do you have coming up? I know you got some good news about next week, so I'm gonna let you tell it.
Yeah, so next week I say we because I'm so used to talking about us. I have my solo EP that's going to be released on December 16th, and it's entitled Just Me, and it's 4 full-length songs and a few interludes that freestyled on, or I just really want to include on there. It's coming to Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, YouTube, anywhere you can stream music. You can find this album on December 16th. It's just Jason Sibley, Just Me. And so, that's coming out. And then looking forward to possibly in the 2025 releasing another book. So, a lot of big things coming up, in the next few weeks and days. So, yeah, it's a lot of good stuff.
See, this guy is not in a box, and that's what I love. He's doing it all. I love it. No boxes here.
I'm trying.
Boxes are for those Christmas presents that he had under his tree when she left.
Yeah. And didn't have my receipt, so I couldn't take it back. So yeah.
Oh my God, Jason, thank you for coming on. Oh, and before we leave here tonight, I definitely got to send a shout out to my future niece. She's going to be my niece. I'm already claiming her. Last week, the podcast, we did it with a politician here in Dallas, and she constructed all the questions that I had on the podcast. She actually even came up with the concept for me. And Marsha, I know you're watching this. I am grateful for you, and thank you so much for doing that for me last week. I forgot to do it last week, but I could not end tonight without acknowledging that your hard work and your creativity and your brilliant mind. I love you to the moon. Thank you so much. So, Jason, I know I'm going to be jamming your music next Monday, and I hope that everyone else is listening to it. And we're definitely going to have to get you back when you release your book. We're going to get you back when you release your book, man, to talk about that and sit down and chop it up on that. But everyone, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Next Monday, we have another singer, James Mabel Jr. He's out of Houston. He is a worship leader, and he's doing some big stuff, man. This cat lives in Houston, but he's flying to D.C. on first and third Sundays to lead praise and worship. And also, he's like everywhere doing stuff. So God is really opening up some doors for him. So I'm really excited to have him on here to talk about his journey. So everybody, next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Jason, thank you so much, my brother. Oh, and don't forget to go follow Jason. It is going at the bottom of the screen on IG and Threads. He is at Royalty44. TikTok, he is Jason Royalty Sibley. And on YouTube, Jason Sibley 5814. Go follow this brother on all of those platforms. And until next Monday, peace.
Peace. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Jason,